it's Mark.
And Jeannie.
We're the co-founders of Transformative Loving Institute.
And we're here in beautiful Kauai on the North Shore, shouting out to you guys about avoidant attachment styles.
Yeah, we're continuing on this video series talking about the love map, going around, and we're here hanging out for a little while around, doing your personal work and looking at attachment styles,
right.
Because so much of our interactions, up to 90%, are based on our attachment styles. So this is a rich area of teaching that we want to give you guys so you can start to look at this as you're interacting as couples.
Right. So last week we did anxious attachment style and gave you some specific tips. What do you do if you're either the anxious one or the one dealing with the anxious one?
Yeah.
And before that, the week before that, we gave you an overview of all 4 styles. So if you haven't seen that, we're going to suggest that you go back and watch those 2. And so today we're really diving into avoidant attachment style. What is that? How does it show up in relationship? And lastly, what can you do about it?
Yeah. The avoidant attachment style is formed when a parent really is checked out and not available to a little baby. And the baby starts to make decisions very early on that I'm not going to get my needs met.
Yeah.
And so that is the basic idea that goes all the way through into adulthood, into couplehood, that the message is I'm not going to get my needs met, so why even try?
So the avoidant's basically telling themselves, I'm alone. I'm on my own. Nobody's got my back, so I have to have my own back. So it sets up a certain dynamic in a relationship. And if usually what happens is that you have an avoidant person who pairs up with an anxious person. And even if both of you have, like for example, Mark and I both have a primary secure attachment, but Mark's anxious is higher than mine, and Mark has almost no avoidant, and I have avoidant. So we're just gonna do a little here's what it could sound like, and see if this is in any way familiar, okay?
Yeah.
So Mark will start.
All right. Honey, is there something wrong?
Nope, nothing's wrong.
Are you sure, honey? I just want to check in. Are you sure there's nothing wrong?
Okay, I said there was nothing wrong. What's wrong with you?
Oh my God, this is so ridiculous. You're not gonna talk to me?
You know what, I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah.
So
the anxious is like, don't leave me. The avoidant is leave me alone.
So there's this thing that happens where it's like pursue and go away, and it can be really painful because the avoidance response to actually protect themselves and get their own space triggers the anxious and the other one like, oh my God, you're leaving me now? Yeah. And so it can be this cycle where, we just acted it out, but it's kind of like tell me give me something, give me some connection, what's going on for you? And the avoidance is starting to get flooded. They're like, oh my God, this person's now engulfing me, they're in my space, I'm not safe, I've really gotta, and what can happen is when the avoidance starts to shut down, it can look a little bit like an attack. Like you'll notice in this role play, I was like, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with me, what's wrong with you, right? And the avoidant, it really is just trying to get space from the other person, but it can start to sound critical.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so now we want to actually give you some specific tips that you can use if you're avoidant or if you're dealing with an avoidant person, okay? So we'll do the avoidant first. So here are the tips for the avoidant. The first one is actually to ask for space when you need it and say when you're going to come back, which is the important part. Mm-hmm. So it would sound like this. Honey, you know what? I'm starting to get agitated. I need about a 15-minute break, and then can we come back together?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's good. All right, let's do it.
Yep. So if you don't tell the person when you're coming back, if you're just like, I'm out of here, it's going to trigger their anxious style.
Yeah, it's really hurtful to the relationship long term to have that happening over and over again. So it's just the key, the tip is just to say when you're going to come back.
Exactly.
Take the break, say when you're going to come back.
Yeah. The second thing is to start to notice when you're getting triggered and ask for support from your partner when you can. And even in those moments when you're not getting triggered, just start to practice asking your partner for support. This is very important, and it's very difficult for the avoidant because they've learned that they're not going to get support basically ever. They're on their own completely. So even in little things, like for me, expressing grief is difficult because it's one of those times that I learned when I was little that I'm totally on my own. If I start crying, everybody goes away. So if I can feel my grief and say, honey, you know, I'm feeling sad, can you just stroke my hair a little bit? What that does is it starts to reprogram those neural pathways that I actually am going to get support. When I'm starting to feel sad, I can reach out to my partner and he's going to be there for me. So that's the second tip, is for the avoidant to practice asking for support. And then the last thing is to practice emotional intimacy. Now this might sound kind of strange, but what happens is the avoidant starts to get flooded and, what's that word? It's like
Engulfed.
thank you,
Yeah.
engulfed. So one way you can practice this is with a loving eye gaze, okay? And just start to incrementally increase your capacity, okay? So it's gonna look like this. So the person who's not avoidant, you just give a loving eye gaze, okay? Now I'll be the avoidant one here. And I go, oh, okay.
Is that too close? You need to go back a little bit, maybe?
See, I might need more space. Oh,
Start
so
a
that's
little
better.
bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Start
better.
a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Now, what I'm doing is I'm practicing receiving. I'm practicing receiving love, because that's the muscle that's not very built up, is me receiving support, me receiving love. Okay, so I'm just going to practice that. And then if I start to get engulfed, I'm just going to look away. And then we can come back. So that's something you can actually practice with your partner to start to increase your capacity for emotional intimacy.
Now, you might need to be facilitated in this because it is a difficult skill to build. So in our workshops, we do facilitate couples in this because this has really been proven to help heal a highly avoidant attachment style in people. So you can actually build this over time and not feel so like you got to bolt. So this is something that you can work on to help with this.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have 3 tips for you to support someone who's really in their avoidant headspace and they're wanting to bolt. The first one is to don't chase, give space. That says it all right there. Let them have their space. And so the second one then is also going to be self-soothing. Do your self-soothing. A lot of times the avoidant, when it happens, is going to trigger in everyone. They're anxious. I mean, you get triggered when someone wants to leave like that. So do your self-soothing. We have videos on self-soothing. The one I like is breathing. I like to do breathing because it's really quick and it gets me very grounded, and I won't take that personally when I'm in that type of a self-soothing space. And then finally is really to provide ongoing emotional support for your avoidant person. And what this looks like, because remember, the message is that I can't rely on anybody.
Right.
So you've got to be a reliable source of support.
Yeah.
So know what their love language is, and then give them what they want. So like Jeannie, it's quality time, acts of service. And when you're doing it, touch, you're saying, sweetie, is there anything else I can do for you right now? Or how can I support you right now? Use that word so that they start to associate, oh wow, I am actually getting support.
Exactly.
So that can be a really powerful intervention then to start to build those connections with someone who has a lot of avoidant energy, where they can start to trust and rely and shift their behavior.
And it's going to take some time, right? Because remember, these are patterns that we've been living out for decades. And so if I have a story that no one's there for me, it's going to take me some time, but it will shift, because remember, we all have a blueprint to come back to secure attachment, and that's actually that's actually what we long for. That's what we're looking for in our partner, is this healing to come back to secure attachment. So these are some of the ways to do that.
Yeah. Now we offer a workshop where you can come in to Boulder, Colorado, work with us. We will facilitate. We work with 15 couples. We can facilitate you in these practices and really help you dial this in so that you can go back and start to do these practices and learn how to co-regulate one another ongoingly, because it can make a huge difference in your relationship in the long term to do these practices ongoingly.
Right. So we actually have additional experiential activities that we do in the workshop so that you can practice creating safety and working with anxious, avoidant, and disorganized attachment style. So we're putting a link here in the video. You can go to our Eventbrite site to sign up. And we're actually giving you a discount because
That's right.
you're watching this video. So
That's right, half off
Yeah.
for the fee to come in and work with us.
yeah, so it's really, really reasonable. It's $97 a person, and it's Love Map 123, and the workshop's on July 28th in Boulder. And it's really going to support you if you're interested in personal growth and you really want a deeper connection with your partner. This is a very affordable workshop to come to, and we'd be delighted to see you. So go ahead and go to our Eventbrite site, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Bye.